what I find is in communities like Ocean View, the children don't leave the communities. So my part in the wellness center is that I want to get the children out of Ocean View. Like our communities are divided in between invisible gang lines, what I call it is. So the kids and the people from this area, or the kids, won't generally go play in that area. And the people from this area won't go to that area because it's different gangs and so forth.
Welcome to the Security Guide podcast. I'm your host, Rafi Musaji, and each week we bring you a special guest. Today I have Aslam Richards. Aslam, for those that don't know you, tell them a little bit about yourself and what drives your work in Ocean View.
Well, like you said, I'm Aslam. Grew up in Ocean View. I'm a middle child. Some people say I suffer from middle child syndrome. So I'm the middle. I'm the middle of seven.
Tell us a little bit how you got into the activist work in Ocean View.
I started in NPO. Right, I started a wellness center. It's actually called the Cape Flats Wellness Center because the dream is to have a wellness center in each community on the Cape Flats. And what the wellness center is what I find is in communities like Ocean View, the children don't leave the communities. Right. So my part in the wellness center is that I want to get the children out of Ocean View. Like we had a project, which is a great project we had from the Blocka to the Ballet. We took children from Ocean View and the flats of Ocean View, and we took them actually to the ballet in, at the Artscape Theatre. And that was a great project. And, just sitting there watching them, I thought they're going to be like rowdy in the ballet, but they were also taken back by the ballet. And when we came out of the ballet, they actually said, Uncle Aslam, we must have this in Ocean View. And the girls was very interested. That was one of the projects. What I also did was I collaborated with Golden Arrow, and we took them to see all the museums in Cape Town. So, like I say, what I find is that a lot of the children in those communities is that they never leave those communities. So they never get to, broaden their minds and so forth. What I also do in the wellness center, we had like violin lessons where we were exposing them to classical music. We had like soccer, we have, games and so forth, and just actually spending time with the youth in the communities, in the community. Because there's a lot of absent fathers, there's a lot of single mothers in our communities, and a lot of the youngsters in our communities are just left to their own devices, and they don't have this kind of a, father figure or, like a big brother type of thing. So that was obviously the space that I saw that was needed in our community, and that's what gave birth to the wellness center.
You come from a family that was an activist.
Um,
Any of your parents or uncles, at any role
You
models?
should ask that actually. I was thinking about that on my way here. The first time my granny was on the door in Jacobson at the door. And the first time I remember is that she used to feed. She used to feed less fortunate people. And I remember her asking my cousin Stratford and I one day to help her carry this big pot of food up to the bush, which is an area now that is fully built, but at that time it was bush. It wasn't. It's known as Lapland now. They call it. And we helped my granny carry this pot up to the bush, and I was like, I just wasn't feeling it. And when we got there, my granny was dishing up the food. And I'm like, Mom, why are we giving this food to the people? We can sell this food to the people. And my granny told me something that stuck with me. That, yeah, just stuck with me forever. She said to me that there's just this feeling of giving people that is in need that nothing can replace. And I still think about it from time to time, that is the truth. There's nothing better than helping somebody. Nothing can replace that feeling within yourself.
What made you go into the step of actually putting yourself in the hot seat?
Yeah.
That's a different type of.
It's very different. So, as an activist, right? As an activist, there's only so much you can do. I was feeding, we were taking kids out, we were working with kids, and that is great. That's actually what I really want to do myself. But it can only take you so far. There is obviously, there's the government side of things, and I wanted to do more. I wanted to do bigger things. I didn't just want to feed. I wanted to really, help
Effect change.
effect change. I wanted to
Yes.
see something,
Impact, basically.
exactly. I wanted to impact the other community on a bigger level.
Okay.
And that's when I put my hand up and I got involved with politics. So
Okay.
that's basically what started it.
And then what was your first encounter when you started the journey? Back from.
Coming as an activist, right? Like, let me just say, as an activist and not having a lot of knowledge about government and the processes and how things really work.
So you were like a layman, just
Yeah,
just passionate
I
about
didn't. Yeah,
affecting
I
change.
just wanted to help. That was my foundation.
Your
Is
intention was just that.
yeah, that's it. But coming in, when I became a counselor, I discovered that even the counselors w- were struggling with things. I thought the counselor the counselor is the one that decide, okay, do this and that is how it's done. No, there is processes, government processes involved in applications involved to get things done. And in the beginning, it was very frustrating for me. And that is why I'm studying public administration.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm studying public administration to obviously to better be able to help people.
Mhm.
So, because you must have an understanding of public administration and how it works to become more effective. So I think that, you know, like I say, coming in from the outside, coming in and just seeing that, okay, this is not the way things work. But that is why and then I got frustrated. The point I want to make here is, then I got frustrated with all these processes and why is there all this red tape? I thought it was just unnecessary. But then getting an understanding and having an even more, a bigger understanding that is why cities like Johannesburg is not working.
Mm.
It's because they do not have the proper processes in place to hold people accountable, to the safety of things, to make sure that there's not corruption. That is why the other cities are not working. So the best thing for me to do was to study public administration.
I just want to highlight on that point. We also dealing with a situation. Not really dealing, but we also you come to an encounter as you growing. You have a situation where you need to have processes and procedures in. You have to have governance, and somebody has to govern the governance, and somebody has to write the policies. And a lot of times people feel that that's unnecessary work. The only thing we need to do is we need to, like as in government, we need to get people houses, we need to get basic water, we need to feed them, and that's the for. This is like it's too much red tape. But if you do not have that, then there will never be accountability and there'll never be transparency. Because if there's five of us, or there's three of us in this room, and we all working in this room, and the book gets taken away, and there's no procedure, who's gonna be held accountable for it?
We're going to decide it.
I took it, but I'm gonna say I never did it.
Yeah.
This so just it's a simple example of that, and you have to go through that. And generally, when people from the outside, they only seeing how I can feed myself or how I can, be more safe and whatever one affect change. Like you came in, I'm just seeing, and now you got enlightened
Yeah.
that this is the way. And it's nice that you now on the other side seeing
Yeah.
other people that get frustrated
Yeah.
because they don't know. So how
Yes.
do you navigate that for somebody that's just so passionate, but they might not be very educated or understanding of the system?
So what I do is in fact, just the other day, there was this guy, he's also a bit of an influencer. His name is Alrich, and he created a video. And in his video, he said something that is commonly said in communities. He said, this community center is not being used properly. He felt that, the government of the day or the city or the DA, what is
Hmm.
doesn't want us to use this. They want us to be standing on street corners and becoming gangsters, and just standing around loafing. And then I created a video. I first made contact with him and I said, look, I understand that you this is what you think, but I'm going to explain to you in the video. And those centers, all the government people really, it's difficult because people really don't understand what the role of government is.
Mm.
The role of the government is to have the multi-purpose center there and maintain it. The community needs to use it. The government is not going to tell you you must play soccer here, you must play netball here. You as the community, you guys need to decide we want to create a badminton team. So let us book the wall for badminton. And that's the process that government needs to run. Not tell you guys, come, you guys need to play badminton or basketball or whatever inside the wall. That is up to the community. But the community needs to access the facility. And the access is there. The facilities are there. The city wants you to come and use the facilities, but you need to step forward.
Mm. So, in a nutshell, what you're saying is that the city can only provide the resources.
Yeah.
You have to then basically on your own develop your own execution plan and your own desire and your own club or whatever to utilize the resources.
The resources the city has given, and the city has been providing brilliant resources for the people. It's up to the people, obviously, to make use of that. And I don't want to become political, but this is exactly what the smaller political parties are pushing. So they're pushing that narrative. They're trying to push that narrative onto people, using people's lack of understanding about politics and government and how it actually really works, instead of informing people, telling them how to access this, explaining them the procedures to them, telling them where they need to go, giving them the contact number to make the booking. It feeds it helps them their agenda if they can, rather than tell people that yes, they don't want you to use it. And to me, that is just that you're not really helping.
It's not really helping. It's so sad that that ultimately our when everybody starts off, it's about helping the people at the end of the day. And now, when people give information like this, they're actually helping themselves, and they just fighting over things. And at the end of the day, the community member suffers. Just on Ocean View, just generally, like how is the primary safety and security challenges that you are facing right now in Ocean View? I don't really know too much about Ocean's View's colored community and the gang violence, and you always hear it in Nova Park and Manenberg and Mitchell's Plain. So I don't know how.
Ocean View is exactly like every other color community. At the moment, it is very calm. It's been that way. I mean, we had December. I'm not even sure if we had any shootings over December. So at the moment, there is peace in Ocean View. And I just pray that it stays that way. There was a time, I think a few years back, when it was, look, the gangs are there.
Just explain to somebody, like, in Mitchell's Plain, you get different sides. You get the Portlands and you get the Tafelsicks. And obviously, like, if you're going to go to East Ridge, it's like gang. And like, if you're going to maybe West Ridge, it's a little bit more calm. Is there
So Ocean View is very small. So like I said, that there's a small area called Lapland.
Yeah.
On top of that is Beverly Hills.
Okay.
So then we have the flats, the Blocka area, the Gange, they call the Gange. And then we have a ghost town, which is close to the graveyard. And then we have the Navy houses section. And then we have Angry Hills, what they call Angry Hills. So that's basically how.
So on the Beverly Hills, who's staying there? Like, what type of?
I think the Beverly Hills is more that is it's not a self-help, but it's nice homes,
But mainly coloreds.
No, it's all coloreds. All coloreds, mostly coloreds. There's a couple of white and a couple of African, so very little though. So yeah, so there are people from different races staying there, but mostly I'd say 95% colored.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that does okay. So then, with regards to the safety and the security, how are you finding it on a if somebody like generally goes to Ocean View, is it now is it quite safe or?
Look, because I'm from Ocean View, I know people, there is a very negative, people are saying there's a very negative view about Ocean View, like Hanover Park, like Mitchell's Plain, like, all the different places. But I think if you come from a place like that, you will know that it's not half of what it really is. So coming into Ocean View, it's actually safe. The gangs they're not much bothered about outside people. I think the wars, look, our communities are divided in between invisible gang lines, what I call it is.
Mhm.
So the kids and the people from this area, or the kids, won't generally go play in that area. And the people from this area won't go to that area because, it's different gangs and so forth. But I think that doesn't really affect, just a normal person coming in that just thinks, okay, unless the guy is now out to rob people.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Outside person coming in is just like normal visiting somebody, moving off,
Yeah,
doing
that's
his
it.
thing. It's fine.
But you can't come in and look like a target. You know what you have to have the street smart. If you're gonna
Yes.
come in looking like a target, they're gonna rob you.
Okay.
You know
This
what I'm saying? This, but I
that's the
think,
norm. I
yeah,
think that's anyway. Like I mean, the thing is the way you can the way I sort of my little security thing. Does Uber feel safe coming in your area or not? And certainly, and that's
yeah,
the sort of the benchmark. They say they won't go to Brown's Farm, they won't go here.
yeah, yeah.
So will they come and pick up an Uber driver, a client in certain areas? That
Yeah, yeah, that's it. I mean, if look, there are areas that are very, very dangerous, but
Mhm.
generally on the Cape Flats, I think if you know your way around, and which most colored guys, you know what I mean,
Mm.
we know what to avoid, we know what to look for, so we can avoid it. And also, I think there's just this thing is like, I can approach this guy, but I don't know who he is. He's
Okay.
obviously that as well. I mean, he's walking around here in a Nova Park, like, who is this guy? You know what I mean?
Obviously, we're walking, but I mean, if you're driving in a
Or
vehicle,
driving, I mean, you don't really know who the guy is. So are you gonna take that chance?
yes,
Let's just avoid it because this guy's operating.
yes.
So
So they
that
just
kind of
so
stuff.
they just leave it and whatever. What made you want to make the change from an activist into a party?
Um, I think as an activist, you feel like you're not in the ring. You're punching from the outside of the ring. You're wanting to see these changes. You have brilliant ideas that it's gonna work in your community, but it's not. It's not part of the plan.
Mm.
So, yeah, you feel like you're fighting a fight that is, and nobody's listening. And for me, that's when I decided, you know what, I need to get into the ring. If I'm going to want to bring the
Mhm.
changes that I want to see, I'm gonna have to step into the ring. That's when I,
So when I'm not speaking about a particular party, do you just when you somebody wants to join a party, do you actually look at everything, or do you kind of like look at okay, just this you look at one section of it, and because that one section is actually going to benefit your cause, do you then make the move, or because
yeah, that's a very, very good question. And I see it happening. So
how.
when I first got involved with politics, right?
Mhm.
When I first got involved with politics, I didn't really want to get involved because I just thought, politics, just looking at it, So when I got involved with politics, there was a party that, or let me say, what it was pushed on social media. Because now that I understand that that is actually that's a narrative that was being pushed on social media. Where you have people doing this race-based politics, and they were feeding it so much on social media that people actually believe it. So they were buying into this narrative that, the colored people, colored people, we are left out during apartheid, we weren't white enough, now we're not black enough. But if you look at the Western Cape, the opportunities are there. I know a friend of mine, a very good close friend of mine. He used to go barefoot to school. I always used to joke, in with our family. I had to go barefoot to school, but that was a joke. But I knew a guy that went barefoot to high school. He went barefoot. He got the business today. He's successful because he chose not to have the victim mentality. And our colored people are latching onto this victim mentality because it is easier. It is easier to believe that I'm a victim because of my circumstances, because of this and because of that. It's easier than for me to say, I'm not a victim, I'm going to make a success of my life and do the hard work. Because nobody's going to hand it to you. Hard work,
100%, yeah.
success, irrespective of your race, is hard work.
If you're not happy with your mindset, with your bank balance, with your waistline, with your relationships, I always tell them you have to put the work in. And my common thing is, if you don't take yourself seriously, nobody will.
100%.
And this is a tip that I'll keep saying. Anybody that wants to get confidence, what you need to do is you just need to make promises with yourself and keep it. So just have a 7 day. I say just start with 7 days. Say when Sunday starts, say, listen, I'm going to plan my week. I'm gonna whether it's gym or whether it's you're gonna read certain things, whether you're gonna do some exercise or something, or you're gonna start learning an online course. You make sure when the time comes in the calendar, you deliver. And if you deliver to yourself and you to take small wins from there, you've built up credibility with yourself, and then listen, you're slowly starting to take yourself seriously. So, what sort of projects, good projects, you guys are doing in the city at the moment that you can share with the audience?
There has been brilliant projects that we have been doing. I mean, one that is obviously very close to my heart now is the park in Ocean View. So what happened in Ocean View
Is this a
is,
normal park
yeah, just a normal park. So what happened in Ocean View was there was a little girl, 7-year-old Iman West Asian, who was shot and killed in the park.
shame? And when did
That
this happen?
this happened about 5 or 6 years ago, right?
Okay,
And
due to gang violence.
gang violence. It's the gangs were running through the park, and there was a shooting, and Iman got
Oh, I
shot
think I did the
in the
Iman.
crossfire. Our mayor has attended the trial and everything. The guys were found guilty. They're serving life sentences. And what the mayor actually wanted to do for the family and for the community, because I think that death affected the whole community, was that what he's doing now is actually he's rebuilding the park. He's making the park very beautiful. He put up fencing in the park. He's put up all new material in the park. He's put down the rubber matting. And the park is already being, he's also changing the name of the park to the Iman West Asian Park.
Oh, lovely.
So, that's in memory of Iman, and, it's put there for gangs to think twice before they actually, you know, go out and just fire a weapon in public. So that is really, really great. There's already been so much money being spent there. But just seeing all the projects that the mayor himself is doing is really awesome. If you look at the soccer field in Manenberg, if there was another soccer field, I think it was in Kayalicha. If I mean 80% of the budget at the mayor table is on the Cape Flats. It's going to the Cape Flats. And
Nice, man.
yeah, 80% of the budget is going to the Cape Flats. And see, I don't want to bring it back to politics every
Yes.
time. But when you listen to but that is not being echoed. When you listen to what these politicians are saying, they're saying, yeah, the Cape Flats is run down, the Cape Flats. Just yesterday in Lansdowne, the day before in Lansdowne, there's is it 1.7 or 1.2 billion rand infrastructure project with the new water, the sewer lines that are being replaced. So a lot
And I saw the
of the money, yeah.
the My City upgrades and the circle.
Great. The sky circle is the only one in the southern hemisphere.
I saw that.
So we are making big rounds right here in Cape Town.
Yeah, I know it is something. The only thing now that our city is it's doing well, it's the traffic, man. What can we do about this traffic? I mean, I like me as a business guy, I'm like thinking, you know what? Should I open up a branch in town? And I wouldn't think of doing it because my staff to get there, it's a problem. So I don't know if
Look, the My City will live. The My City is going to be much cheaper. It's going to be cheaper for people eventually. I
so you
think
must
My
tell
City
them
is
that, yeah.
going to run through the
You need to
entire
show
city
that.
one day. One day. So if I think that look, and that's the point of this big My City project happening through right through Athlone. I think from Galicia right through to
But is
through
it going to
Athlone.
be safe though? And
It will definitely be safe. It will be easier. It will be cheaper. I think most people are then going to actually start looking at that. I don't need to take my car to work. I can jump in the bus. Poop is going to take me quicker because it has its own lane. The My City has its own lane. I can jump in the bus. I can get to work quicker and cheaper. And that is obviously the idea behind that. And slowly that is being implemented into the entire Western Cape, obviously. Well,
something's coming to my mind because you know what, I'm a security guy, and the thing is, if you're going to, which is going to help the economy, obviously transportation and internet, that's obviously helps. What do you think the taxi association is going to do if their bread is going to be eaten on? Do you think that?
I think there will always be space for the taxi. I think there'll always be. I think that needs more control. It's a pity that it's actually private, but I
Yeah.
think that needs more control because and obviously the city and JP Smith
You
is
remember a few years ago
blocked
how it was,
with
eh?
yeah
We don't want that again because, I suffered as a business person. I couldn't get my staff here.
yeah
They still need to get paid. People don't know how much that affect load shedding and transportation when
of course
people can't come. It costs so much money. And I
yeah.
mean, you know what? Where are we supposed to recover that? So yeah, the mayor and the mayor committee, they need to obviously have their ducks in a row because I heard JP, I know I'm jumping. He said they were gonna put the extra 700 officers on the road.
Yeah, I think
Is
it's
that
about 1,200 law enforcement officers. So you'll also see what is, and this is also narratives being pushed. I'm sorry, I have to say it. But you'll also see that people, because they don't understand the law and they don't understand government. So how it basically works, I'll try and explain it. So how
Mhm,
it basically works is there's three spheres of government. There's national government, provincial government, and local government. So we are talking about local government here, right?
mhm,
So law enforcement is there to enforce bylaws,
mhm.
right? They're only there to enforce bylaws, like your traffic fines, drinking and driving, littering, those type of things, right? Those are the bylaws. National government, which is the ANC, it sits on top. National government is responsible for our safety. Now, if you look alone at how many police officers the ratio is to one person, in Cape Town, it's almost 1,000 people to one to one officer, right? One policeman. If you look in Joburg, it's 500 people to one policeman. So national government actually choking us, right? They are actually killing us basically. If you look at our vehicles, one vehicle maybe per station, and if the vehicle breaks, there's no vehicle. The city of Cape Town, in fact, the city of Cape Town tried to buy radios for the police, but the police didn't want to accept it because their radios, they're still working with two-way radios. Their radios are outdated and it's broken. So people need to understand that the city of Cape Town does not have the same rights as SAPS. The city, so that is why Alderman J.P. Smith is fighting for the devolution of power. What the devolution of power would mean that because law enforcement is arresting the people and taking them to SAPS.
Mhm.
Then the SAPS detective, I'm not knocking SAPS, the SAPS detective is sitting with 150 cases. The guy appears, come out in bail, is out the next day, case gets thrown out. So what law the devolution of power is that city want to catch the criminal, we hold them in our own holding cells, we do the investigation ourselves, and we take them to court so that we know that we got everything is in order for them to be convicted.
I got that.
That is what the devolution of power. That is what I think people don't really
But
understand.
how far are they with getting that right?
Um, ah, yeah. So obviously the alderman would have more information on that, and I could speak to him for you and get the answer for you on that.
Okay, that would be interesting because obviously I understand on both sides. Like if you had to unpack that the devolution of power, because obviously if you're watching that commission that's happening now, you would understand why some certain individuals would not want that to happen.
Yeah.
Because to serve their own interests. Because if
Yes.
you do have that, that means there is going to be a legitimate organization that can affect arrests and convictions where they can't intervene.
Yep.
We want to see the criminals behind bars.
Yeah.
If you are a criminal, you should not be on the street.
Exactly.
If you take somebody else's life and you are found guilty, you need to go to jail and not come back. You know what I mean? There's no second chance. Not that I know this politician and whatever. We need a safer society.
And that is basically the reason why the 1,200 law enforcement metro police officers were brought onto into the city. And safety is not the function of the city. It is so money were to be allocated for those people, but we got um because there's such a need for it that we now have 5 law enforcement officers or metro officers in each ward. So, I mean, there's only so much the city can do without the devolution of power. So I think the next step for us to make the city safer is obviously for us to fight for the devolution of power.
No. That's perfect, man. But no, maybe we're gonna have to get somebody else on there, somebody at the later stage that can actually answer that questions or give us a more detail, like what is the holdup, and
Yeah.
and then we can try to as people of we can use this platform to see how we can actually affect change of in that regards, because that has been a long term thing. But yeah, no, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just want to a few more things and then we're going to end off. Just tell me, the youth over there, what sort of training and skills development does the city have planned for them? Because obviously, for us as a training center, we also feel that, you have to obviously be educating our future because, I mentioned Nelson Mandela again. His thing is the most powerful weapon that you can give a nation is education. I mean, that's enlightenment, because if you teach somebody something, he sees it as a different way. So obviously, education keeps people away from drugs, from gangsterism, and that. So, are there any programs that they can sign up to?
Um, you know, it's something we don't want to discuss. I don't think we're ready for that conversation. Is that a lot of our youth are dropping out of school? They are standing on the corners. As sad as it is for me to say this to you,
As he said, yeah.
we see our youth, they are not in schools, they are standing on the corners, and you look, maybe they could be different reasons. They could be different reasons. We're not just going to say it's laziness and whatever. There could be problems at home, there could be learning problems and so forth. So, what I think communities really need to do is to tap into social development, the Department of Social Development, and, make use of what is available out there.
Mm.
As youth, I would say, if you didn't finish your matric, see if you can enroll yourself in a college, get some sort of certificate behind your name, and just try and educate yourself as much as you can.
Yeah, no, obviously for us, and I'm not trying to pitch anybody, but that's our small contribution that we're making as an organization, that we feel that there is a gap in the market. So the whole thing about us with the security training, we feel there's no faster way for somebody to come into an institution, be trained for 3 weeks, a month's time, he can get his certificate. After 3 weeks of training, within a month's time after that, he can be registered as SIRA and being employed. And an average salary of a guard, it's roughly around between 6.5 if he works 6 to almost 7,000 to if he works overtime 9,000 rand.
Mm.
So, and there are jobs available.
Yeah.
So I feel that then from there he can then, if he's ambitious enough, he can then work his way through your NISA or work other cause, a civil cause or something like that, while he's feeding himself. Because
Yes.
the whole thing about poverty and crime goes hand in hand.
Yes.
But if we solve that problem on the grassroots levels, I think that is thing. So I mean, government needs to step up, and they really need to also help. I mean, and it's not only their responsibility. It's the individual also, but
Yeah.
government must make resources available. So hopefully one day when you're the counselor, we'll see all the good works that you are going to be doing and affecting
Inshallah.
change, inshallah. But it has been a pleasure. Anything,
Yeah.
any last messages that you want to say to the listeners?
To our youth, yeah, stay in school. I can't echo that enough. Stay in school, finish school, get your education. It's the most important thing that you'll do is your education. Um, I think that's it.
But Aslam, it's been a pleasure chatting to you. Hopefully, we'll see you soon. Maybe after the elections, we'll see. We'll get an update from how things are going and with yourself, and what other project you guys are working
Yeah,
on.
very nice chatting to you. Thank you for having me.
All right, thanks, Aslam. All right, guys, you've been listening to the Security Guide podcast. Till we meet again, take care.